Hi, welcome to Cubs and Culture for January 2nd of 2018. And because I like catching things right as they're popular, we'll be discussing the 2009 Best Picture race between The Hurt Locker and Avatar. I'm going to start with Avatar. And for a moment, I actually want to praise something about the film that's not often praised. I think, in a lot of ways, the screenplay of Avatar, while goofy and silly and ham-fisted and not subtle in the slightest, goes so far in that direction that it loops around from being annoying to being amusing, to being funny, to being a way of having fun. So just some really obvious examples in which it's ham-fisted. The Na'vi, that named, you get native from it, you also get naive from it. The embodiment of capitalism is called Selfridge. Grace Augustine is another sort of example. At one point, the main character is literally protecting a tree of life from a shock and awe campaign. So, the sort of on-point writing, I think, does a couple of things. One, it makes the film's geopolitical orientation about the Iraq War absolutely clear. Now, it's not really a liberal film. It's not, sure as hell, it's not a leftist film. It does seem pretty obvious that James Cameron was upset about the Iraq War, so he wrote in these references to shock and awe, or Selfridge faking evidence of the Na'vi attacking or getting weapons of mass destruction to make the Iraq War a thing. So in a lot of ways, this sort of on-point writing in any other context makes the movie fun. It allows you to, in a way, not really pay attention to the story, because the story in this sort of film doesn't really matter. Okay, I realize that sort of might sound funny to some people, but this film is not really about Jake Sully or Selfridge or Grace Augustine or any of the characters. This movie is basically structured to make Pandora feel alive to people. It's meant to be like an experience. Now, a lot of people compare this film to the likes of Ferngully or Dances with Wolves, but that's not really the touch point that they're working on. The material that Cameron is working with, or sort of the style of the film, comes from a group of stories called Lost World stories from the early 1900s. A lot of these stories had primitivism as a theme. The most obvious example would be the 26 or so Tarzan novels. The Land That Time Forgot, King Kong, 1933, Lost Horizon. A lot of times these films celebrated nature's gentlemen, very much like Avatar, and it was about the ecology, the setting. Okay, so at the end of the day, I think the storyline of Avatar, it works. It's pretty much what you would expect from like a sci-fi film. It gets you from point A to point B, but as an experience, it's very, very well structured, because you can just relax and sit back and watch the film as an experience. It should be seen on the big screen. It should be about the movement of the characters, how the movie plays out. Cameron actually very intelligently uses a lot of subjective point of view shots in this film, and at the end of the day, you feel like you are in that world. Now, is that a good movie? Maybe, maybe not. Its story's sort of irrelevant. It's something of a special effects reel. However, it's a well-done special effects reel, and because of that, it's a lot of fun. It's a good experience. It's a striking sort of film. So if I can sum this up, Avatar, its writing is sufficient to do what it's interested in doing, which is develop this world Pandora, and its politics are ham-fisted and obvious, but you know where the film stands. It ultimately gets my seal of approval, but I understand why someone wouldn't like it. But keep those two things in mind. It's know where it stands in its politics, and it does what it wants to do. Okay. This is Cubs and Culture, Part 1. We'll be back with Part 2 about the Hurt Locker in a little bit. So, see you on the flip side.